Good afternoon, everybody. It's just after the hour, so I think I'm going to get started now. Thank you for your punctuality, and welcome to the Panic Button customer class. And it's welcome back to those. I see some familiar names who've attended one of my webinars before. And for first timers, my name is Jane Dupree, and I'm the product marketing manager at SnapComms. And I'm talking to you today from New Zealand, where it is 9 o'clock in the morning on the 30th of March, Thursday the 30th of March. So I'm a day ahead of you. We've got a great turnout with a good mix of customers and prospects, mainly from North America. And I'm assisted today by Ellen Rollins. She's our United States-based Customer Success Manager. Hello, Ellen, and I know you've got a few words to say.
Hi, Jane. Thank you. So thank you all for joining today. As many of our customers know, SnapComms is constantly evolving our product with new features and functionality. And those updates and changes happen because of the feedback that you give to us out in the field. So we want you to keep that coming. So that's how we came to be with the product that we're going to talk about today. And as Americans, we seem to face a unique challenge with workplace violence that our headquarters in New Zealand truly finds foreign to them. But as our customers, you've related to us, and your SnapComms team has related that back to our headquarters. So we've developed this panic button option. This capability is going to provide you an option that will not only allows any and every employee the option to help in making your environment a safer place. They will now have the option to be an active participant in getting a critical and in many cases life-threatening alert out to everyone. And today Jane's going to review this option that will save time, empower your employees, and ultimately possibly save lives. So we realize seconds count, and we wanted to arm you with the capability to get the message out as quickly as possible from wherever is possible, still using your same SnapComms system. So, a purpose that you hope to never need to use ever, because obviously this is something that you don't ever want to have to engage in, but know that you are ready and able in any kind of event that you could use it. So with that, I'm going to let Jane go ahead and show you today how this all works, because it's pretty exciting that we're offering this now.
Thank you, Ellen. Thanks for that. Before we start though, just quickly some webinar house rules. I am recording the session and you will receive a copy of that recording by email later today. I'll also include a copy of the slide deck and some other useful resources with that email. Now, as attendees, you are muted, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. So please use the questions feature to send us comments and questions at any stage. I really don't mind interruptions, and it allows me to catch my breath. So to ask a question, you click the orange arrow that I'm indicating to expand your GoToWebinar panel, and then type your question in the question box. Ellen will be watching that box, and she will read the questions out to me. So my session is about 45 minutes long, so there should be time at the end for questions as well. And the product team here at SnapComms is very interested in any feedback you have on the panic button and any requests for further features. So looking at the class format, we're going to start with an overview of what the panic button is. I'll then explain the key benefits. I'm going to show you how it works, including a live demonstration and a recorded mobile demonstration. We're going to look at the 3 roles involved in using the panic button. I'll do a hands-on demonstration of how to configure the panic button in the Content Manager. After that, I'll show you the reporting available for this feature and discuss some best practice. Lastly, I'll go through the prerequisites for using the panic button, so what you need in terms of SnapComms software and licensing, and we'll talk about costs. Righto. What is the panic button? The SnapComms panic button it's a digital trigger that allows your staff on the scene of a crisis to warn others by publishing a full screen emergency alert to the computer screens or mobile devices of at-risk employees. I'll just go back to that. The emergency alert does override all other applications in use at the time, and this greatly increases the chance of every employee being made aware without delay and thereby minimizing the threat. So what are the benefits? Well, the panic button saves valuable time by empowering your staff to immediately publish the emergency message from their PC or phone app. So this eliminates the need for first responders to ask someone else to sound the alarm or to run to find the physical panic button. We also have real-time reporting, which allows you to confirm who has received the message and who has seen it. There's also reporting around who has sent it, but I'll look at that in detail later. At this point, I'm just going to pause and actually ask you a question, if you don't mind. I'm just going to open a poll on the screen. And I'm hoping you can see that. I'm really curious just to know that if any of you currently have a system that allows all employees to enable a digital emergency alert. Just interested in a yes or no answer, just to gauge how many of you already have this kind of capability. Okay, I've got 100% no at the moment. Most of you having voted, so thank you for your participation there. That's good to know. So you're probably pretty interested in what I'm going to show you today. Now let's take a look at how it works. So it resides in the SnapComms app, which is installed on the PC or the mobile device. It's completely pre-configured, so no editing is required in stressful situations. It's usually only made available to and therefore visible to frontline staff who would be the first to notice a dangerous situation, but not always. You may choose to make this available to all staff so that anyone can warn anyone of a situation. And when a crisis, or if a crisis happens, the frontline staff member publishes the relevant message to the group of at-risk staff. I'm going to do a quick demonstration of how it works on a Windows PC. So I'm going to open my, oops, sorry about that. I just need to open my app. There's my SnapComms app. Now I am in the role of
Jane, we're not seeing the app popped up.
Yep, here she comes.
There we go.
Okay.
A little bit of delay with the good meeting.
Okay, thanks, Ellen. I'm playing the role now of the first responder, somebody who has noticed a dangerous situation. I open the app, I click the red panic button, a list of available messages is shown to me. These are pre-configured. So in this instance, I am going to choose the active shooter on the East Campus. I'm going to publish it. I get a confirmation. Am I sure? Yes. Now you'll notice that it is publishing, and within a couple of seconds you'll notice what happens on my screen. So what's happening now is the app is sending that request to the server, and the server will be publishing that message. So pretty shortly we will see a full screen takeover. Now that's taken over both my screens. Are you seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
We are.
So there's the message, clear and simple, take cover, get out of sight. Okay, so that's how it works on the PC. I've now got a recording of that same process and how it works on well, this is the iOS app. So I'm going to press play and we're going to have a look at that. So to trigger the panic list, you open the SnapComms app, you find the list, you find that relevant message, again East Campus, it publishes, and within seconds that full screen takes over the phone. Now if I didn't have the app open, if my phone was just resting, a notification would come in like that. Clicking on the notification would pull up that full screen alert. So there's the demonstration. Any questions at that point? Else I'm just going to go on now into the configuration of the app.
Oh, we have a question, Jane.
Sure.
Will all SnapComms clients receive the panic alerts, or can you target specific groups only?
It's completely configurable. So as I go on now explaining the configuration, you can choose for everybody with a SnapComms app to receive all warnings, or you can specifically target, like in my example there was a shooter on the East Campus, so in that case I would only need to warn the East Campus group, so it would be targeted. So it depends on your organization, how you are configured, your locations. That's completely up to you, but I'll show you how to do that.
Okay, we have one additional question.
Sure.
On the mobile app, what if you don't have the app open? Will it trigger an open still?
So on the mobile app, the push notification comes in, and you do have to interact with that push. You have to accept the push before the open happens. Unfortunately, specifically with iOS, that's the limitation of the operating system. So it relies on the user seeing the notification and opening that to see the message.
Okay, and another question. Can the sender change the panic button message, like add a location?
Not on the fly, no. All of that has to be pre-configured. So
Okay.
not at the time of publish, no.
We have a few more coming in. Keep them coming. Are we able to create our own type of alerts for this option?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Again, that will come up in my demonstration of the configuration.
Okay. And then if you have dual screens, will it publish to both or just one?
Both. This is a special feature of ours, which is our emergency alerting feature, which does a full screen takeover of all screens, and that's over even if you have full screen applications in place. So in my case, I've got GoToWebinar in full screen, and I've got PowerPoint in full screen, and that alert took over both of my screens.
Okay, great. And at this moment, that's all the questions.
Okay.
So we'll keep moving forward.
Thank you. Right, so quickly before I show you how to configure it, it's very important that I explain the three groups of people, or the three roles that are played when using the panic button. Now, firstly and most importantly, the reason we're doing this are the employees who may be at risk when a crisis occurs, and I call them the at-risk staff. Second group, or second role, are the frontline staff who have permission to publish emergency alerts via the panic button, and these are called the panic button publishers. And lastly, we have the SnapComms content administrators who configure the panic button and make it available to the publishers. Now, in the demo I just did, I had to play two roles. I played the role of the publisher when I clicked the publish button, and I was a receiver so that you could all see the end result. It's quite likely that you too might play more than one role in the real world, but it's important to get these three roles clear before we start. Any questions on that? Because it's pretty important that concept is understood.
No questions at this time.
Excellent, excellent. Right, so now it's time to step into the shoes of the SnapComms content administrator and open the content manager, where I'm going to show you how to configure the panic button. So bear with me again as I change screens. So we're now in the content manager, and we're starting at the dashboard, which I'm just going to refresh. Sorry about the delay. I just want to refresh that so that I can disable that East Campus alert so that we can reset for this demo. So there we see that East Campus alert is published, and I'm going to quickly disable it to reset. So to orientate ourselves, let's have a look at the configuration of that panic button that I've just demonstrated. So in the Content Manager, we are going to navigate to the folder where I've set it up, and I've called it the Emergency Demo folder, and I can access it easily from the dashboard. Inside that folder, there are 4 items. Let's look first at the panic list, which has that panic button icon. As you can see, it's currently published, and that's why it's visible in my app. It has to be published so that it can be visible inside my app. Now, the other 3 items in the folder you will recognize as the pre-configured emergency alerts, the ones that show in the list when I open the panic button in the app. Now, when I open the panic list, just give it a second to load, and I want to show you the preview, which loads on the right. Oh dear, we got a bit of a delay. There it is, preview. So you'll recognize that as the same list you saw when I opened the app, with those 3 items that are present in the folder. So it helps me to think of this relationship as a household. So the emergency demo folder that we're working in, think of that as the house or the container. The panic list is the parent, and the emergency alerts are the children. The panic button relies on this folder-based relationship. Everything happens within the folder or within the household. Also notice that the 3 emergency alerts, 3 children, are not published. They are all in gray, and that's because they are on standby. Remember that they are ready to be published from the panic button if necessary. Okay, let's go through a configuration from scratch, but first I'm going to remove the existing panic button from my app by disabling it. So I choose disable, and I'll just wait a few seconds for that to push through the system, and there we go. In my app, I no longer see that panic button, so we can now start from scratch. So I'm returning to the dashboard. I did that by clicking the SnapComms logo, and the first step is to create a new folder where the panic button will be set up. Remember that this is the house, the container, and that's required for all of this to work. So I click on folders, and then I do add subfolder and name it something descriptive like emergency alerts, and we save. Now we need to open that empty folder, empty house. So the next step is to create the panic button itself. This is the parent part of the relationship. So we select create content, and we choose the panic button. And I'm going to name it something, again, descriptive. And for me, I find best practice is to call this the panic list.
And Jane, while you're doing that, we have a question.
Sure.
Can you publish more than one panic button? We're thinking different messages in different panic buttons for different campuses, etc.
Yes, you can. So in fact, you can have, there's no technical limit on that. You would just have to be careful of your targeting, but in fact, you can have 2 or more panic buttons published to one person. There is an interim step then when they click on that red panic button, they then have to choose which one. But as long as your naming protocols are all good, there's no technical reason why you can't do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so we just, sorry about this. I'm just trying to enlarge my screen. We've just created the panic list. Let's read the screen to find out what the instructions say we should do. It says, when previewed and published, this template will display a list of all the messages that can be triggered from the SnapComms app. All messages in the same folder as this template will be shown. Use the introduction area here to give clear instructions to the message dispatcher, that's the publisher. For example, find the emergency message that is appropriate for your current scenario, then click publish. The message will be published immediately to all target users. So let's start by adding a title. To keep it simple, I'm going to reuse the name Panic List. And as suggested, I'm going to copy and paste that instruction into the introduction area. And now we need to save those additions. So now if we preview the panic list at this stage, just wait for that preview to load. Sorry about the small delay. There it is. You'll see that the panic list is empty. And that's because we've not yet created any emergency alerts or any children to display. And we're going to do that in a few minutes, but let's first finish configuring this panic list. So you can skip the delivery options tab as those defaults are all correct and don't need to be changed, and we go straight to the target dates tab. Usually you want to select immediate publishing so that the panic button becomes visible as soon as you publish it, and the end date should be 6 months or more, as the panic button should remain published and be visible and available for a significant period of time, if not indefinitely. So I'm going to arbitrarily choose a year's time to be the end date so that it's always there and available if required, and you save those changes. So now we need to select the target users. Now remember the roles I explained earlier? Well, the target users that we select here are the panic button publishers, the people, the frontline staff who need the panic button in their app so that they can publish the alerts if they notice a crisis. I have a group set up called Panic Button Publishers, which I'm going to select. You will need to either create a similar group manually, or you could use an existing Active Directory group. You could choose to send it to the whole organization, give everyone publishing rights, or you could use user targeting and pick out certain individuals only to have the panic button. So there's huge flexibility in deciding who gets those publishing rights. In most cases, as I said, it wouldn't be all staff, most likely to be those frontline staff who may see something first.
So Jane, can I ask a question to elaborate on the last question that came up? So if someone like a hospital or a campus have multiple buildings, could they, what one building's panic button choices be different than what another choices could be? In other words, if you created, if I'm in building A, I may only pull up options equivalent to building A.
Yes.
Or
yes.
Part of building A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If we have time, I can show you how you would do that, but it's definitely possible.
Okay, we'll consider that this is 101 and that's 102 class.
Yeah.
All right.
Give me a call on my private line. I'll show you how. Okay, lastly, moving to the advanced tab, and we need to select standard alert, which is the default, and importantly, we want to publish this silently. We don't want to announce with a notification that somebody now has a panic button. We just want it to appear silently without drawing attention. But it's not the end of the world if you don't get that one right, but best practice is just to make that appear silently. Now we can go to the Publish tab and click the Publish button to make that panic button available in the message list. Don't worry about that warning, that's just because of my configuration. So that has been published. So now if I look in the app, I'll give it...
We have a question for you.
Sure.
If you already created your alerts, can you then create your list?
Yes.
Or must you create your list, then alerts in your emergency folder?
You can do it in any order. I just prefer the hierarchy order, starting on the outside and working in.
Thank you.
Okay, so there in the app now is the panic list, and if I have a look at it, it's empty. There's nothing there. So the container is there, but now we're going to add those alerts. I just need to change the zoom on my screen to normal again. And let's go back to the folder view. So I'm going to use the breadcrumb to return to my folder view. Very, very important to check that we are in the emergency alerts folder. And then again, we select create content and we choose desktop alerts. So we're not choosing another panic button. There's only ever one of those within a folder. We're choosing desktop alert. Now we need to choose a template. I'm going to use this bold red alert, which indicates, just by its color that it's an emergency theme. You can use this one too. It's in most of your content managers, or you can use any of your custom branded templates, or put in a request for a new branded emergency themed template. So if you wanted a really strong emergency theme, we can arrange that for you. Right, I'm going to select that one and give my alert a name. I am going to cheat and paste that in because I'm not great at typing under pressure. So I'm calling that, again, Active Shooter East Campus. And now we need to enter a title, which is the same, and we need to enter the body text. Again, I'm cheating, and I am pulling in the code for the alert you've just seen. So nice and quick for demonstration purposes, I've just pulled that in, but I'm going to just show how easy it is to add an image. Images are great to add impact, to kind of indicate the severity of the situation. A picture says 1,000 words. So there I've added my image. That can be any image you want. So somebody earlier asked, if you can create your own messages. I think this is now demonstrating that you can put any content within the message, and as well as choose any template style. So I'm going to save that.
And as you're doing that, I'll also just throw out, you can have any number of messages, but I know you're going to cover in best practices
yes.
some suggestions.
Yes.
But 3 is just the sample that we're using today.
That's right. Moving to the delivery options tab, you need to keep the defaults selection, that is to send to SnapComms clients. This means that the alert will go to all the targeted users via the SnapComms Windows or mobile apps. So that's to get it to the SnapComms apps. Now you need to add send push notification. That is important for your mobile users, and it makes sure that they are alerted via a push notification, which does come on top of screen, advising that of the situation. And you can edit this text. You can in fact give instructions in that actual push notification. You could also at this point add SMS if you have SMS configured in your SnapComms configuration. All that's really required is an SMS gateway, and for your users mobile numbers to be available via Active Directory. So an SMS can go out. I can also send it as an email. Again, I can edit this email to have the same visual impact, same message as my other my main alert. And finally, you can also send it via a webhook. Most commonly one we've used here is Slack. So if you use Slack, you could send it to your Slack channels as well. Now, the idea here is, as you've guessed, is to flood all channels, any possible way to warn people that they may be at risk. And using this central SnapComms control panel, you pretty much got them all covered. We do have other webhook integrations. We have integrations via Zapier. So using that, you could go out to Yammer, Microsoft Team, just talk to us about your requirements there. The idea being to flood all channels with one notification. So you just click that button in the app once and it goes to all these channels. Let me just check I saved that. Now, on the Target Dates tab, it is absolutely essential that you select immediate publishing, but it is the default, so that's fine. And you can leave the end date as 1 month. Reason being is that the emergency alert will always has to be manually disabled from the content manager when the crisis is over. So who knows how long the crisis is going to last? Who knows if it's a hostage situation? You don't know how long that message needs to stay on screen. So best practices here is to leave it as a month, and as soon as the crisis is over, when it's all clear, a content manager administrator comes in and disables it. I'll show you how to do that later.
And Jane, we do have a question that just came in. Can panic alerts also be sent to the phone line and leave a message?
Ellen, not yet. We're not in that game yet. And I do know that a lot of competitors do that. And if there is significant interest, we'll certainly look at it, but not yet.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm finished on the target dates. Now, target users. Now, these are our end users, the at-risk employees, the ones that we need to warn. And in this example, it's an East Campus incident. Sorry, I keep saying East Coast. So I'm going to choose my East Campus group. But similarly, you know, more warning is never. Too much warning is never a bad thing. So you can set this target group as broad as you like. You can set it to the whole organization, or in my case, where this is location bound, I'm only choosing the East Campus group. Let me save that. And finally, we need to pay special attention to our advanced tab, because this is where it's critical to configure this alert as an emergency alert. Remember the questions around does it cover both screens? Yes, it does, but only if this emergency alert feature is enabled. So this is absolutely critical so that it will go over all screens and over any full screen applications. I'm going to save that. So now we're done. But in this case, because in normal cases we'd go on and publish our alert, but in this case you don't publish the emergency alert, because remember it is now waiting on standby in case the crisis occurs and we need to use it, but hopefully that's never. So let's go back to the panic list and take another look at it now that it has an emergency alert or the first child created in it. And I'm sure you're getting the picture that anything I add in that folder will be visible here. I'm not sure why I'm getting that delay with this display. There it is. Okay, but what's happened here is this is by design. If there is only one emergency alert available, we bypass the publish button and we skip straight to the confirmation just to save time. So in this case it's saying, are you sure? Because there's only one, and I'm just going to cancel that so that that's what it actually looks like. Okay, we could leave it now at one emergency setup. That could be very well just be your use case. But for this demo, I'm going to go on and add just one other alert, and this time for the West Campus. So the easiest way to do that is to clone my East Campus warning. So I go back to the folder view, I select the hamburger menu, and I clone. It's very, very important to select the emergency alerts folder to clone it to. Sorry, I'm blind. There it is. Because as I've explained, it has to be in the same folder. There I can see the clone. Open it up to edit it. I'm going to edit the title. My message is the same instructions because it's the same scenario. I'm going to save that. Delivery options are exactly the same. Remember, we've already configured them. Target dates are exactly the same. It will be that immediately for 1 month. But obviously, we need to update the target users. In this case, we are targeting the West Campus. And I'm going to save that. Again, we can skip the Advanced tab because we've already pre-configured this as an emergency alert. But in my Details tab, I need to update the asset name so that it's all accurate. Again, I don't publish this. It's ready on standby to be published if required. So let's go and publish this panic list so that we can make these available in the app. And I'll just give that a chance to refresh. And there we have our 2 emergency alerts that we've just set up available for publishing. I'm going to publish this West Campus alert so I can demonstrate how to disable it from the Content Manager. So clicking Publish, I get the confirmation. Full screen. And we can close that all up. Oh, that was the notification on my phone. I'm not sure if you could hear that.
We heard the dinging.
Okay, so
and we have a question.
Yes,
we have a question.
Yes, sure.
Can the panic alert pop up as a standard alert type box instead of commandeering the entire desktop screen?
Yes, yes. Although, you know, our best practice would be to, well, I guess it depends on the severity of the situation. If it doesn't warrant full screen takeover, then yes, you can do that.
Thank you.
Right, so I'm going to show you how to disable that now. So West Campus, so I didn't show this clearly enough, I don't think, that once we've published something, the status changes here. So the publish button disappears, so nobody else can come in and try and trigger it again, and the status is published. So now let's pretend the all clear has been given. I need to, in the Content Manager, disable that. So it's back to gray, and looking at the app, it's now available again for publishing. Okay, that kind of ends that demonstration part of things, and I'm going to return to my deck where I'm going to be talking about
and we have a question.
Reporting. Sure.
It says, am I correct? Wouldn't it be best to select emergency full screen and also select all users active and inactive?
So definitely full screen, all users. In terms of the inactive, you could do that too. I mean, cover all your bases, but inactive implies that they are not, the app is not currently connecting to the server, so the message isn't going to get to them anyway. But on the off chance that they all of a sudden do connect, yes, you might as well cover, you know, throw the net as broad as you can, put it that way.
All right, that's it for now. Thank you.
Okay, I see that time is ticking on. So let's look at the reporting. So in terms of reporting, it comes back to the 3 roles and what they did in this situation. So there are 4 relevant reports. The first is for who configured the panic button. So who was the content administrator who set it up. Who can publish from the panic list, panic buttons, so who are the publishers, who have we given publishing rights to, and then who actually published that alert, so who triggered that alert. Now this could be important for auditing, and also, you know, in case you don't want people to take the system for granted. So the fact that they know exactly that we know who pushed the button makes people behave more responsibly. And
And
finally,
Jane,
yes?
sorry to interrupt. We do have a quick question. Do you have to manually send an all clear message once you disable the alert to let people know the emergency has passed?
Yes. So that would be the next step. Again, you could have that ready pre-configured. There's no reason why that all clear message couldn't also be sitting in that folder. And once you had disabled, that could go in and be published again from the panic list. So it just depends how you want to configure things.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's quickly look at this. I'm not going to spend too much time, but if we're wanting to look at who configured the panic button, we need to open the details tab of the panic list itself. So I'm indicating below that's the details tab, and the report on that details tab will show you the publisher's name. So I was the one who sent out this panic list, and there's the date and time. If I want to know who has rights to publish, who are the panic list publishers, I go to the success report for the panic list, and that's accessed via the report icon, success report, and in this report we see the names of the full list of publishers. We also see a summary. Just ignore these stats because this is from my test environment, so it doesn't look great, but I actually targeted 19 people. Most of these users are offline, so it doesn't look great, but you do have a summary of who you sent it to, and there's the full list there. In terms of,
Jane,
yes?
Jane, we do have a question. Sorry, it says we were instructed to use emergency that if anyone had fallen from active to inactive because they had not received an alert, that they would still get the message that that was a feature of selecting emergency alert.
Okay. I would, yeah, that sounds correct. Ellen, could you do a follow-up with that question, whoever asked that, or if you could send that to me and I'll follow up, but that does sound correct.
Yes, and unfortunately, GoToMeeting typically does tell us who the asker is, but in most cases, but in this one instance, it did not. So whoever the asker is of that question, could you just ping back and let me know, and I'll make sure we get that followed up
Thanks.
for you.
Yeah, I'd like to clear that up for you.
Thank you.
So in terms of who published it, we need to look again at the details tab of that emergency alert, details tab, and there we will see the publisher. In this case, I was the one who triggered it, is Jane. And finally, who saw it of all the at-risk staff. That is the success report for the emergency alert. So I would be looking at the active shooter East Campus success report, and here I see the success of who saw it. Who reached means it got to the machine. Success means it was displayed on their screen. Right. I just want to talk about some best practice, and this is, again, coming from New Zealand, where we are not exposed to these awful situations, but Ellen's helped me with a few of these, and I'd actually be very interested to hear from the customers what would be considered best practice. But we would limit the number of alerts in the panic list to 5. Reason being, any more than that would just cause confusion. There's too much choice in a stressful situation. Also suggest that you lock down the editing permissions of that emergency folder. That's a very precious folder. Only certain administrators should have rights to go in and change that. You don't want just a normal, internal comms person coming in and unwittingly making changes which then would result in the feature not working. So lock down those folder permissions. Carefully consider who should be publishers. In smaller organizations, you may wish to make everyone a publisher. In larger organizations, you may want to limit that to frontline staff. Technically, there's no limitation. So that comes down to your business process, your organization culture and the handling of risk. Carefully construct the on-screen message to give a clear clear message to the staff at risk in as few as possible words. It mustn't be lengthy. Add images like I did to help tell the story. For further impact, you can accompany the alert with an audio notification. That is a feature, so if the sound on a computer is on, a sound will come through with that emergency notification. And I just want to talk about other use cases. Obviously here I've been talking about shooter, which is the most extreme, but other cases you may want to use the emergency alert via the panic button would be suspected terrorist threats. You could use it for a fire alarm, could be severe weather warnings, threatening or antisocial behavior by a member of staff or a visitor, wide-scale medical emergencies, or a natural disaster. So it's really useful for any situation where time is of the essence and you need to get your employees' attention to minimize risk to their lives. So moving on to prerequisites to what do you need to use the panic button. You need a SnapComms account that can be on our cloud or on-premise. On-premise server software version must be 69 or higher. You need the SnapComms app installed on all devices from which the panic button will be triggered and on all devices that should receive the emergency alerts.
Jane,
yes?
we actually have a question for you. Sorry to interrupt. How do you get audio into the alert, and do you provide pre-recorded audio, or would we need to create our own?
So there is a default audio sound, which it's not very emergency-like, to tell the truth, but we do have the ability via I think it's our client command script for you to upload any recording of your own. So if you had a siren sound or any other sound which your staff recognized as the warning siren, we could help you upload that to use.
Thank you.
Okay, so those are the app versions, but I do have a handout which has all of this in detail, so I'm not going to go into that in too much detail. You do need to be licensed for urgent and emergency alerting and have the panic button template installed in your content manager. It's recognizable by that red icon with the button symbol, and you can reach out to Ellen if you're not seeing that and you'd like to give it a trial. Now, given that this feature is all about time is of the essence, we need to talk about the client or the SnapComms app poll time. The poll time for the less technical people is how often the SnapComms app checks in with the server for new content. On our standard cloud, the poll time is 120 seconds, so that's every 2 minutes. Now, that's too long in emergency situations. So for our panic button customers on our cloud, we reduce that to 60 seconds. Any shorter we can do, but that can only be done on our private cloud hosting. And just reach out to Ellen in terms of arranging to move to private cloud if you would like to have a really short poll time. And of course, if you are on premise, the poll time is at your discretion, as long as your infrastructure, so that is your servers and your internal networking environment, is correctly spec'd and configured and can handle that poll. So that is quite flexible. In terms of cost, if you already use SnapComms urgent and emergency alerting, then the panic button is included in that license fee, and all you need to do is ask Ellen for the template, and you can start using it. If not, it costs an additional 10% of your annual SnapComms license fees. So quick example, if you're paying $4 per user license, then adding the panic button pushes that to $4.40. So for a life-saving, potentially life-saving feature, I think that's really, really economical.
And Jane, we have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone trigger a panic message if the machine they are currently on is outside the network of the rest of the machines?
As long as their machine is connecting to the server.
but or could they just use their
Yes,
mobile?
yeah, absolutely. Use their mobile phone. So, you know, the machine has to be connecting to the server, and that implies that it has to be on your network. But other than that, you could use, you know, mobile connectivity, no problem. Okay, I'm going to take you through quickly some other resources. I'm just going to show you where they are. We have a quick video demonstration which is really useful if you don't want, if you want to share this feature with some colleagues, they're not ready to sit through this hour webinar, show them this video demonstration. The link is there. It's only 54 seconds and very quickly gets the concept across. There is a panic button product page which is on our website under our products, which gives a good summary. It's also got a great animation of exactly how it works. I have a panic button information sheet, which is a PDF. Oops, and I've lost it. There it is. So this is great to circulate to other colleagues. It's 3 pages. Have a quick read, and it covers all the details that I have just covered, including technical requirements, and all things like that. So that's a great little resource. Finally, there is a full user guide that's in our knowledge base, and of course you can email me at any time with your comments and feedback. Ellen is available, you all know her email address, and tech support if you're having any issues setting it up. So next steps, if you're interested, would be, if you haven't already, to upgrade to the new app. Ellen can assist you with that. If you are on premise and you'd like to try it, you will need pretty current software. Again, Ellen can help you with that. Request a panic button trial. The template will be included, and yeah, you can start, you know, be prepared for something that we hope is never ever going to happen, but at least you'll be prepared. So that brings me to the end. I feel like I've done a talking marathon. So any questions, Ellen?
At this second, we don't, but if there are any other questions, if you want to go ahead and type those in, we'll give that a minute. And it looks like I'll be busy with all those. Call Ellen.
Yeah, my job's done, Ellen.
I'll be hearing from all of you.
Yeah.
That's okay.
All
right. Well, at this moment, we don't have any questions, but it's not because we had a shortage of them
No,
throughout the session. So they had
fantastic.
some great, some great questions. So, and we do have the follow-up question, and one other person had a follow-up question to that follow-up question.
Okay.
So I have saved those, and we'll get those over to you so we can follow up with those folks. All right.
All right. Well, Ellen, thank you for your help, and thank you everyone for your time attending. I really hope it was valuable. Oh, we got one latecomer.
One latecomer. When will the panic button be available to users who currently have the emergency alert feature?
Now, today.
Yeah, that's right. Call Ellen.
Call Ellen. All righty. Great. Okay, I'm going to wrap up there. Thank you, everyone. Thanks again, Ellen. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.